is up, youths and viewers? My name is Kes, and welcome back to KTV Network. Today I'm reacting to Smash JT Hold Up. Ubisoft is based. We all know why. The money ran out. So, they have no choice but to go back. It's also Pride Month, right? Or what I like to call also Veterans Month or Men's Health Awareness Month. Hi, hello. But I've noticed that these gaming companies are also not pandering anymore, which is great. Leave the gays alone, okay? Leave them alone. They don't want to be pandered to, the sensible ones anyway. So let's watch. Let's see what they gotta say.
Confused everybody with the Ubisoft just completely confused everybody with the latest tweet regarding potentially moving their company into a direction of being based. Is this the same Ubisoft that made all these other moves leading up to this point, in contrast with all the Pride stuff and the rainbows being pushed in everyone's faces? Now we see June come and a tweet from Ubisoft stating it's men's.
Pride was always meant to be for a certain niche, for a certain audience. Like, it wasn't meant to be politicized and taken over like this. It wasn't meant to be like that. But you got people that are unwell and sick in the head that want to monopolize everything.
Health Month. What's going on, guys? Welcome to another episode of Smash JT. Some will already say it's too little too late for a dying company that is billions of dollars in debt. But I can't help but look at the situation for what it is, and Ubisoft trying their best to turn a corner, and maybe it all goes back to Yves Guillemot's son coming back to Ubisoft because he's like, you know what? I know how to fix this. Get rid of the wokeness.
Duh.
Hit that subscribe, give me a like, and check out smashjt.com for the full article breaking down how Ubisoft is looking like it's turning a new leaf and trying to change the direction of their company back to what gamers actually wanted and selling a product to the people that, I don't know, actually buy their products. In a, and to put it very lightly, extremely unexpected move, Ubisoft has kicked off the month of June by highlighting not the gay crap, but instead Men's Mental Health Awareness Month, with zero mention of Pride anywhere to be found. As of June 2nd, 2025 at least, none of the usual rainbow branding on any of the logos, no theme cosmetics, no DEI-laden statements. No, this is Ubisoft appearing to have a major brand reversal. While many people knew the whole DEI and Pride stuff was being pushed into the rear view by society for the most part, I don't think anybody could have seen this one in particular coming. Of all companies to not be participating in Pride Month activities, they have
fallen so far.
Ubisoft being the leader in leaving that stuff behind. I was legit in shock when I saw this tweet from Rainbow Six Siege, and it said, "It's okay to take off the mask. Strength and vulnerability are not mutually exclusive. June is Men's Mental Health Awareness Month. We'd like to encourage you to reach out."
Yes, make it inclusive. All men. Duh. It's something. It's a topic that doesn't get spoken. Doesn't get enough talk either. You know, mental awareness just gets swept under the rug because most people think you're a guy, you got it. And yeah, we do. But
to your friends,
things
ask
happen.
them how they're doing. Pick up a game together. Look out for one another. You matter, with a heart emoji. Nowhere in this is it referencing anything Pride related. And on its own, you'd say, wow, maybe they are turning a new leaf. Maybe they are going a new direction. But I'm sure Ubisoft as a company changed their logo and put the rainbow Pride flag and did all this other stuff. Nope, they didn't. They didn't do anything of the sort.
I also suspect it's because Cheeto T-Rex took over the office and they feel the need. They don't, like I said, they don't have to pretend anymore.
There's no kind of message being shoved in anyone's faces about Pride. There's no new initiatives coming out of Ubisoft as of yet to say this is what we're doing this year to celebrate Pride Month. None of that. The only thing that I have seen so far is a tweet about celebrating men's health. What? This post here marks a significant departure from Ubisoft's previous years, to say the least. Back in 2023, you might remember the company ran the full-blown Together in Pride campaign, complete with developer events, internal training sessions, aka indoctrination events, but hey, potato potato, and gender identity characters being shoved into their games, like Osa, the first transgender operator in Rainbow Six Siege. The Ubisoft team reportedly, quote unquote, worked with several trans consultants to ensure that the character's appearance and narrative would resonate with the community. In Rainbow Six Siege, a biologically male operator who identifies as a...
Is that a woman? That's a man?
Female didn't go over very well with the community that purchases that game. And, I mean, are we really surprised here? Do we really have to ask the questions and say to Ubisoft why you think that was a problem? So, what?
Makeup really shocks me. Like, men really gotta be careful. I could tell by the arms and the nose. But first, and the Adam's apple, of course, that's always a tell, but... And the broad shoulders. But for a minute, I was like, wait.
Changed. Initially, Ubisoft injected this kind of stuff everywhere throughout their company. They even had an entire statement about focus on queer representation in games, trying to push this everywhere they could. But now, the only difference I'm seeing outside of the greater society at large moving away from this pride stuff is that at Ubisoft, Yves Guillemot's son, Charles, who is apparently back in the fold over at Ubisoft after a few years' break, looks to be potentially changing the culture at Ubisoft, and it might all be starting with him, who is apparently back after departing the company in 2021. And there's no confirmation that he's the one responsible for the pivot here. The timing between him coming back and this massive shift in dynamic at Ubisoft can't be ignored. A move that actually kind of acknowledges the growing cultural fatigue with corporate DEI overreach, and instead it sheds a light on actual...
Hang on, what game is this? Is this the one that flopped?
Issues that may be out there for some people. But again, I don't really love this in the first place because it still strikes me as pandering and activism and doesn't really need to be part of the gaming culture. But at least it's not shoving the pride stuff in your face, which I guess you could say is a step in the right direction. Though with all that being said, of course, I want to be absolutely clear here. Years of wokeness aren't undone by a single tweet. And I'm sure there are people already in the comments section being like, stop giving Ubisoft credit. This is just one single thing and it doesn't mean anything in the grand scheme because Ubisoft's still Ubisoft and the fiber they're being is still Ubisoft. I totally get that. But at the same time, I think it's important to point out that the dynamic is definitely changing.
And it's good to give credit where it's due, you know, like give them some positive feedback. You know, I mean, yes, they've done a lot of wrong, and they've done so many mistakes, you know, on purpose. But you know, it's good to give good feedback so they know on the path to continue on a certain path.
Good way. Ubisoft does still have plenty to answer for their past transgressions, from their extremely illegal DEI-first hiring strategies to pushing ideologically driven characters into...
That's right. They must be under lawsuits now. I wonder if people have a few lawsuits on them. Let me know in the video down below if you know.
Franchises, the company has spent years alienating the core fans that were buying its products. But in a world where gaming studios are usually tripping over themselves to be the first ones for the rainbow spotlight, choosing not to do so here is a statement in itself. Especially, again, for Ubisoft of all companies. I cannot stress enough how insane this actually is. Maybe they actually finally realized that the money...
I gotta say, even though it's a man, like, if they had a makeup artist, if he actually did this, but other than that, I'm sorry, the way people make this their own identities, I mean, okay, I'm not one to talk either, because as a kid, I was like a huge advocate for this stuff, and then at a certain point, I was just like, no,
and from pushing DEI agendas, and their company was on the verge of bankruptcy, and they're pulling every lever now to try to get back on course. Interesting how that works. But taking a step back from all of this, maybe the craziest part is that it's not just Ubisoft. As of early June, several major publishers have gone completely quiet on anything Pride, especially compared to previous years. Whether this is a hesitation or burnout or a calculated pivot remains to be seen. At this point, it might just be because the first fell on a weekend and the social media team wasn't doing anything at that point, which I've heard a lot of people say, but at the same time, it's happened on the weekend before, and these have changed. So I'd like to think when they are going to be changing the Pride colors into their logo and incorporating it throughout the dynamic of the company, it's not something they just decide to do on a Monday morning. Like, this is something they decide and work on months, if not years, in advance in preparation for this moment. So having the first come and go and not seeing many companies change their logo should tell everyone there is a massive shift underway here, and almost like sanity is returning to planet Earth. Ubisoft's bold first step into June 2025 here by prioritizing men's mental health could actually signal.
Did this insanity happen in 2016, or did it happen during COVID? Because I know a lot of people lost their minds in COVID, and they started creating all these pronouns, like just, So I'm wondering, did it begin since then, and then it just accelerated in 2020, 2019?
The start of a long overdue shift in gaming culture. But it's Ubisoft, and the amount of debt that they're in at this point is seemingly insurmountable. So this might be a minor splash in the water in the grand scheme of the ocean, but hey, I want to notice that something different is happening, and I think that's important to shine a spotlight on it and say, hey guys, they're trying here. Maybe. Let's just compare.
They're draining the creatures from the swamp.
Compare it to last year's Rainbow Six Siege post from Ubisoft, where they said, "We stand with our LGBTQ plus community. You are seen, you are heard." Well, apparently, not anymore. We had a chat with Captain Fluke about her journey from feeling isolated to being a trailblazer and role model for so many in the Siege community. And let's hear what this Captain Fluke had to say.
Being a queer gamer or an LGBTQ plus gamer, I think it means, at first I didn't know what it meant, is a weird way of putting it, because when I got into the game and I got into this position, you sort of come through quite isolated. You don't realize how prevalent the community is or how hidden away it can be, because gaming itself is quite isolated. And then I started getting quite involved with the community, getting involved with events.
That's how it started. Okay, so I can kind of agree with what he's saying there. Like, gaming used to be this isolated hobby when it wasn't so mainstream, which now it is, but let's see what else he has to say.
And sort of doing my journey quite publicly.
To think just a year ago they were pushing this propaganda on the masses for something that has literally nothing at all to do with the game that they're peddling, and clearly is propaganda for pushing activism and
identity.
Agendas. Do we see Ubisoft move forward and say, yeah, no, we're not doing that crap anymore?
Yeah, true gamers aren't going to talk about their sexual preference, their orientation, their journey to becoming a queer gamer. Like, no, true gamers aren't going to mention that nonsense. They're not going to push it they're not going to shove it in your face, at least. You know what I'm saying? People are going to have their own beliefs, but
more, which I guess is in a weird way them admitting that it was all pandering in the first place, and they knew it all along. But at the same time, hey, at least it's moving in the right direction. Whether or not Yves Guillemont's son, Charles, is the mastermind behind all of this remains to be seen, but regardless of that, the move still deserves recognition. I just hope it's not
100%.
a one-off stunt to try to curry favor with a disgruntled fan base just to go right back into the moves that they were doing before to ruin everything that they're trying to start anew here.
Doubtful.
And if they even have a runway long enough to get to that point, because again,
Doubtful.
I keep going back to, this is Ubisoft, a company in complete financial peril that is past 10-year lows on their
Wow.
stock and dropping. But this move does tell a different story. It does change the narrative. And it does beg the question of, is Ubisoft changing? And is this the first step towards them going in the right direction? I guess time will tell. But again, I
Yeah.
just wanted to make a
Well, let me know what you think down in the comments below. Let me know if you think he's right, if you think Ubisoft is going to do this as a one-time stunt. Who knows? Who knows? Well, I don't think that they will, though, just because politically, USAID funding has finished. It's over. T-Rex is in office. So I don't think they're going to continue with the shenanigans. But let me know what you think down in the comments below. Let me know what other gaming videos you want me to react to. Like and subscribe if you vibe. Become a beauty today, and I will see you guys on the live streams pretty soon with State of Play. Okay, bye.